Ladies and gentlemen, for a century, Nepal and India have one of the closest relationship in the world. And today they share the open borders, meaning if you are Indian and Nepali people, you can visit this country freely. You don't need any visa and any passports to visit this country. It is so free. You can go there without having any trouble. It's like having a neighbor country, and that's why the millions of Nepali people work, study, and live in India today. And on the other hand, if you talk about the Indian people, the millions of Indian people visit Nepal every single year. They want to explore, they want to find something, and they have this closest relationships between the Nepal and India. So if you talk about the trade and economics, Nepal is heavily rely on its India. So Nepal's 60% goods come from the India. It imports 60% goods from the India. It means it rely on heavily in India. If Indian market crashes, Nepal suffer. And that is the reliance of Nepal. And Nepal's depend on India today in terms of its trades. And on the other hand, if we talk about the economics and currency, Nepal currency is also pegged to the Indian currency. So it means if the Indian currency fluctuates with the other currency, Nepal currency fluctuates this currency as well. So see, if just Indian currency fluctuates on it, right, the Nepal currency also fluctuates, and that is the big systems, the Nepals that work with the Indian. And today, the Nepal and Indian relations ties to open borders, family connections, and its own authenticity, dignity, and some of the multiple other cultures, because Nepal and India shares its half of the culture each other. So it has its own half of the culture. It's like India has its own little brother Nepal, and they're so closer that the most country could imagine. But behind all of the relationship lies on just one dispute that remain unsolved for decades. A small scratch of land high in the Himalayas, Lipulekh, Kalapani, and Limpiyadhura, with just less than 1,000 people that's living in these regions, these three regions. And this has become one of the most sensitive issue for this both neighboring nation. And today, both Nepal and India claim this territory as their own, and the both nation include this region in their map. On the other side, the Nepal view this land in the Nepal map. On the other side, the India views this territory in the Indian side. But they don't know actually who controls this region actually. And the old treaties also interpreted this dispute differently. And this both country is refusing to giving this land to each others, and they're just disputing each other. So how do these two nations, which is a historical, cultural, and the economic relationships that's end up with disagreeing over these remote regions? And what are the things that we must actually know to understand this dispute between Nepal and India? To actually understand these disputes, we need to go back more than 200 years. So before 16th century, Nepal looked like this. Nepal had over 15 plus of kingdoms, and Nepal wasn't a unified country at the time. Nepal had over 15 plus of kingdoms and its principalities. The one kingdom, one rulers. They had the one rulers in just one kingdom. In 1743, when the Prithviraj was the king of the Gorkha, the Prithviraj wanted to unite this all the kingdom into this one nations, and it wanted this one sovereignty, that's all the small kingdom and principalities must merge into the one nations, that we can expand our territory and we can have this our own powerful nations that he wanted to build. And until 1768, the Prithviraj done its expansions, it's done the unification process. And in 1768, when it unified the last states and last principalities, the Kathmandu, it's finally declared the modern Nepal, and it's finally declared the Nepal's one united ring. And in the same time of 1768, the Prithviraj was dead. So in 1768, when the Prithviraj state, the next ruler started expanding its territories. The Nepal stretches all the directions, east, west, and south. In the east is the Tista River, today it's Sikkim and part of the Western Bengal. In the west is reached to Sutlej River. in today's areas like the Uttarakhand and the Himachal Pradesh. In south, it's also expanded in Tarai lands. It's also gained control the Tarai lands. And before 1816, Nepal looked like this, the Greater Nepal, so the immense geography power, and it has the large portion of land. By the time of 1940s, Nepal is expanding its territories rapidly, and it has one of the best core assets called a Gorkha military. And it is a Gorkha military that every country love that, and it has one of the strongest Gorkha military that they wins all center battle. And they have gained this kind of control since all the regions until it's met with the British East India Company. British East India Company. It is one of the most powerful organizations in the world history. A private company that's evolved into colonial empires, and eventually it started controlling the Indian most of the subcontinent, including the political influence and also capturing the surrounding Nepals. This company was founded in early 17th century by London merchants. You see, before 17th century, the most of the North American territories was controlled by the England. And the England had its one powerful empire that's controlled by the Queen Elizabeth I. And she guaranteed rule travel for a group of London for 15 years of monopoly on English trade in Indian Ocean, establishing the East Indian Company. And this has become the world's first multinational corporation. So the company's main goal was to connect the Asian productions to the European demands, because at the time the Europeans were so wealthy and they wanted to sell to the wealthy peoples, and there were the oligarchy was so prevalent at that time in the Europe. At first, it looks so simple that the company is just trading partners and trading corporations that sell the goods to worldwide. But after a couple of years, it wasn't just longer just a company, it was much bigger, and it started building its own forts, warehouse, and so while running the companies, it has also built the military power. And by the time of the 18th century, these companies control the huge part of India, and it has its own military power and political supports and also the economic powers, and these powers lead it to insane powers that it could control the entire India. In 19th century, this company had to face Nepal, because at the time the Nepal was also expanding its territory, and it is unified the most of the kingdom in the regions. And for that reasons, he concerned that the blockades for private main critical trades and also the territorial losses, and that leads the Nepalese War. In 1914, when the Nepalese War started, at the time the Nepal had a strong military, still the Gorkha military, and on the other side the British has its strong military plus its main equipment, and most of the equipment it was building itself, and it has the better technology, but Nepal didn't have that. And Nepal lost its war in 1860s. In 1860, the Sugauli Treaty was created. In the Sugauli Treaty, Nepal had lost its 35% of the land. In over the decades, the most of the territorial disputes have been solved, but this only one disputes remain unsolved, and it haven't been solved to the Nepals, and that is Lipulekh, Limpiyadhura and the Kalapani disputes. And to understand this border dispute, we have to deep dive into the Sugauli Treaty that happened in 1816s. Let's understand the Sugauli Treaty. So if you look at the Article 5 in Treaty of Sugauli, you will see that the western part of Nepal's and India border that only separated by these Kali rivers. So the Kali rivers, that is the only reasons, and that's everything disputed because of the Kali river. Let us understand the Kali river first. So the main importantly, where the Kali river begins, this is the first thing. So what is the source of the Kali river first? So the Nepal and India has the different approach that's beginning of the Kali rivers. The Nepals claim that the Kali rivers begins with Limpiyadhura in this point, but the India says that, and India claimed that the Kali river's main source that begins with is Kalapani. So if Nepal is correct that the Kali rivers begins with this Limpiyadhura, meaning that's all these regions and all these territories that belong to Nepal, this all from west to east until it reaches to the China, that territories belongs to Nepal. But if the India is true, the Kalapani begin in this area, then these borders go to the Nepal and the Kalapani, because these borders are also separated. Nepal and India borders are also separate from this only the river Mahakali rivers. So if it's true, that's all the territories belongs to India. So we just need to understand where the Kali river actually begins. And we don't know where it begins because there is 2 points. First is Kalapani and the second is the Limpiyadhura. Let's just understand what is the main sources. So let's just understand the official map that's published by the British at the time. After the Sugauli Treaty, the Britain published this map, and in this map, the British depict that. So the Kali rivers begins with the Limpiyadhura, meaning the today's Nepal disputes. That is correct. That the Limpiyadhura started the Kali rivers. That was correct. And this it's just 20 years of long time, because from 1816 to 1856 this map was officials by this Britain. And after this 1865, once the British realized that we need to gain control these regions, and we made a bad decision or something like that. We made a different map, and they started pointing the Lipulekh, and they are also administrating this area for a long time.
And in 1947, the India became independent from the United Kingdom.
And the India inherited its borders administrations that is already controlled by the Britons. And from Indian perspective, that the existing borders continue unchanged. In 1950, Nepal-India signed a treaty called the Nepal-India Peace and Friendship Treaty. In the treaty, it wasn't the Kalapani dispute treaty. It was only about the secure trade and only the friendship treaty that's wanted to peace and not gaining any treaties, but especially the treaty is only about the economic treaty. And after the Sino-Indian War in 1962, the India mobilizing its military into the Kalapani. In Nepal Arugard, the Indian cannot mobilize their military in the Kalapani. In 1915, the India and China agreed to expand its trade through the Lipulekh Pass, and Nepal started protesting, just saying that the India and China shouldn't make agreements that involving the territories that belong to the Nepal. In the last stage, this is more escalating. In 2020, the India built its road in Kalapani, and this is the escalation that the Nepal's also published a new map. In this map, it includes every territories that Nepal claimed, that the Kalapani, Lipulekh and Limpiyadhura. This everything is included in new map. But that new map is rejected by the India, and India rejected this map. It doesn't care about this map. So in right now today, these areas is administered by the India. So let's understand the disputed main points. So Nepal claimed all the areas belong to Nepal's, because in the early after Sugauli Treaty ended, at the time the British published its new map. In this map, the Limpiyadhura is the source of the Kali river, the main source of Kali rivers, and that's why it's the biggest event for Nepal. In contrast, the Indian perspective, in 1965, the Britain saw the new map, and Britain published the new map that says that has its main source of rivers and main source of Kali rivers. And it's also like it has already started administrating in these areas before, and the India inherently doing the same things that's already existed before, and Nepal claims that the Indian claims also these things. So this is the main critical point to understand. And despite this all other things, Nepal and India has one of the closest relationships and open borders and economic ties and multiple other things. It's like having the brothers, and they are the brothers and neighboring countries, and this is the closest country in the world today. And guys, what's your think about on this topic, and who do we think about that this area it's belong to, and what's your thoughts on this? Just give your insight in the comments. And if you like this video, just hit the subscribe button and share this video as many people as you can. And for the next video, just take care and bye bye.